Welcome to The Yard, where faith and sports collide. My name is Marcus Preciado, host of The Yard. So thrilled to be with you here in this new year. And of course, we got Nick Hundley on the show today, former Major League Baseball catcher. And he's going to bring us up to speed to what he's been up to since retiring and all the great things he's involved in, and a little bit of life, of real life after baseball. Nick, how you doing, man? Good seeing you.
Hey, what's up, guys? Always good to see you, and thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for joining us, man. I see that hat. What's that hat you're sporting, brother?
So this is RB Little League down the street. Last year, actually, they asked me to throw out the first pitch for their opening ceremonies to get the Little League season started. So I got to rock the local gear, you know.
Yeah. So RB Rancho Bernardo in San Diego. Yeah, that's cool. You're representing. Hey, last time we chatted, you were a Major League Baseball player, and now you're a former Major League Baseball player. Talk to us a little bit about, like, what is life like after, being in the big leagues and now adjusting to being a father and husband. How's that treating you, brother?
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I think the time has definitely gone faster this year that I've been retired than it ever has in my life. I feel like I retired almost 10 months ago now, and it's felt like a blink of an eye. So trying to figure out a way to slow it down for sure. But yeah, I was really fortunate to have a great career and just very thankful for that. But transitioning out of playing, kind of knew it was time to do something else. And then now I've kind of talked to my wife a lot about, I was probably a better parent when I was parenting like 4 hours a day and then going to the field, as opposed to 8-9 hours a day. Definitely a lot more patient, but we're working through it. It's a complete culture shift in our household, with me being around every day and not traveling as much, and not moving to spring training, not moving to where we were playing, not moving back for the off season too. So we're usually on the move as a family and go, and this has kind of been a little pause, and a lot of things that were swept under the rug in terms of relationships and conversations, because we were so busy with the season, are kind of coming out. So it's a good time to grow and learn as a family, for sure.
Well, I want to pause there, Nick, and kind of dig in there, because, we always chat and hear about professional athletes and the glamour and the money and the travel and being on ESPN and playing in front of, 60,000 plus, a little bit different now during COVID, of course. But typically we don't hear too much about the athlete when they're at home, right? We don't hear about what does that look like? And I can only imagine the change of pace in your life, of how you went from, like you said, traveling, fast-paced, to now being at home retired, and not only being at home retired, but being at home retired in a COVID era, man. So what has been some of the kind of the highlights and also some of the difficulties of kind of that change of pace in your life?
Yeah, for sure. And my mentality has always been like, I'm like a shark. I feel like if I stop moving, I'm going to die. Right. Like, so I always got to keep swimming, always got to keep going. And this has been a really good time for me, just internally, to get with my wife and the kids and say, okay, like, what's our next, because I was really fortunate. Like, I dreamed of being a Major League Baseball player, and I got to live that dream for 12 years and played professionally for like 15. Like, I was so fortunate to do that. And now, I wanted to make sure, like, as I was going, my identity wasn't wrapped up in my job and my status as a baseball player. Thankfully, I've had a lot of people like you come alongside me, and a lot of people that know the Lord really well and can mentor me and disciple me along that path. But so now that dream's over. So what's the next dream? What's the next goal? And how do I pour into my family with the time that I have now? One of my main goals now is, I think Mark Batterson, a friend of mine, is an author and pastor out of DC. He wrote, and he's like, I want to be famous in my own house.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, that's genius. Like, I want to be famous to the people that know me. Like, the people that don't know you, if they think you're awesome or want to be your fans or something, like, that's great. But I want to make sure like the people that actually know me intimately well and I'm around every day, like, want to be around me, you know?
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Nick. You said a key word in there that I want to chat about a bit is identity. You know, I know for a lot of professional athletes that reaching that pinnacle, right, it becomes their identity as opposed to an activity. And so when that season of their life is done, as opposed to moving on, if it's their identity, and this isn't only for professional athletes, this is for business people, or anything really, high school kids, people in relationships. When your identity is rooted in something that doesn't last forever, or something that's not eternal, obviously it's going to end. So then if that ends, who are you? You know, and so I know a lot of guys and gals that their identity in their sport or job or relationship ends and their life falls apart. And how were you able to lock in your identity as not being a professional baseball player? What is your identity if it's not that? What was it?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And that's something that I don't have all the answers to. I still, sometimes like wake up and I'm like, man, I'm never gonna hit a home run again, you know, in front of, like you said, in front of 50,000 people. Like, I have some struggles in terms of like the times, the good times we had on the field. I'm not gonna go and go work out with the guys and prepare and get ready to play, or, you know, those types of things. So in terms of my identity, I've always wanted to make sure, like, I knew that my identity was rooted in that I'm a creator. I've been created by the King.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm important only because God loves me. Not because anything that I can do or that I have done, or because I can throw a baseball, and that's something I want to teach my kids too. Like, they're important only because God loves them, and everybody else is too. So if you have approached the morning, the day, the night, you approach your life in that lens, I think we can really find out what our true identity is and love people and love Jesus really, really well, because we know everybody was created by him and they're special only because of that reason.
That's great, Nick. I remember when we first met, not too long after that, I'd be driving around San Diego and looking at billboards along the freeway. And there I'd see Nick Hundley's face, I don't know, 40 feet high, you know, and all around San Diego. And I can imagine that at that time, and it's such has to be a huge high, has to be something of like, wow, I made it, and that you never want to leave, but it fades away, you know. So now billboard is no longer there, you know, the fans are no longer screaming. And like you said, it doesn't have to rip you apart, the fact that your identity is in Christ, because that hasn't faded away. You know, your name written in the book of life, like it tells us in the Bible, of when you've given your life to God, that hasn't taken away. So now you can easily transition into this new identity, or continue identity, being famous, but famous at home. Tell me why to you is it important to be famous at home, to be a great father and husband? Why does that hold value for you, Nick?
Man, just like you said, like the legacy and the lasting impact. You know, we're a couple generations away from people not even know you existed on this earth, right? So, like you said, the billboards and all that stuff, playing Major League Baseball, those are good things. You know, those are really good things. I'm not going to say that Major League Baseball and playing is a bad thing. It was a great career. It was a great title to have, a great job to have. But in 2012, I was terrible at my job, and I got sent down to the minor leagues. And I had spent a lot of time trying to build up my own kingdom and my name and say, hey, yeah, like, you're the catcher of the Padres. Like, it's really cool to have that title. Like, I need to hold on as hard as I can. I need to grasp that. I can never let that go, because this is what I've worked so hard for. And then I was terrible at that job, and they said, hey, go to AAA. And I'm no longer the catcher for the Padres. I'm a catcher for the Tucson Toros or whatever, wherever we're at. And it's like, okay, I woke up the next day, I'm still here, like I'm okay. Why am I spending all my time trying to build this status that can be taken away, or I can lose it at any time? I want to build my status and work for the kingdom that can never be taken away. You'll never, like Jesus said, you'll never be hungry again. I give you the water, like you'll never be thirsty again. And if you believe in him and follow him. And I was so thirsty for that and hungry for that fame or that notoriety, or like you said, driving to the park to Petco Field, like I would see my picture on the hotels or whatever. Like I can't tell you that was a bad thing, but if I'm really trying to impact for my legacy and my family for the long haul and people for eternity, like that can't be the goal. And so I spent a lot of time, I've wasted a lot of time trying to build my own kingdom, and it wasn't fulfilling. Now I spend a lot of my time for God's kingdom, and that's the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. And I think for me, one of my favorite life verses is Psalm 90:17. It says, "May the favor of the Lord rest upon you. Establish the work of our hands for us." Yes, establish the work of our hands. So it's like, for me, it's like whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm putting my effort towards, I want that to be established for the kingdom. So for me, that's kind of the genesis of it, because I've wasted a lot of time trying to build my own kingdom. And that was one of the most unfulfilling things that I've ever done with my time.
And you mentioned earlier just kind of the transition not being super easy of being father and husband. What are some of some difficulties? Because I know you're not afraid to be transparent and really talk about the real deal. What are some difficulties of going from Major League Baseball catcher to dad at home and husband trying to figure out, how that new rhythm's going to go?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I know my wife wouldn't mind me, talking about this stuff, but when I was playing, she did an unbelievable job of not getting wrapped up in the baseball identity either. Like there would be times when like I would have a really good game and I'd come home and I'd be like, "Hey, did you see the game? Like, what do you think? Was I pretty good?" Like, hey, but said she'd like, "Well, you want me to like be on you if you strike out 4 times? Like, hey, good job, but I'm not like, she's not living and dying by every bat, right? Which was great. So I have a good foundation there, but we've been married 11 years now, and for our entire life, I was always traveling, and I was home some and gone some, home some, gone some. And she had her rhythm, and raising 2 girls and traveling by herself and getting her, getting everything taken care of behind the scenes. I mean, it was amazing. But now I come home and I'm working from home, and I'm home 24/7. We're not traveling, and I get restless, and I'm like, "Hey, let's plan 10 things to do today." And she's like, "Well, let's slow down because we can't do 10 things today. We might be able to do 2, and then we need some time to rest too." And so imparting, or I'm trying to like put that energy, put that productivity, if that's even a word, like for the action that I'm trying to do. And we kind of butt heads, and we probably fought more this year than we ever have in our life, just because 1, we're around each other every day, which that normally would never happen. And 2, like I'm trying to shift how she's planned out every day for the last 9 years with the kids, or our daughters, and then they're not in school. So she's trying to homeschool some too. And there's just a lot of moving parts that I'm not, and I haven't handled it very well at all. So trying to take a step back and say, "Hey, yes, like let's try to get to a point where we practice a Sabbath day. And what would that look like in our house? And then what would it look like to, and because she's a person that she's been, we don't know where we're going to live for the season. We don't know what team we're going to be playing on. There's just a lot of unknowns. So she's super, super good about being flexible and not planning. And for the last 15 years, I've known every single place I need to be at every single minute. Like, okay, at 3:30, I'm taking batting practice. At 3:45, I'm lifting weights. At 4 o'clock, I'm going to eat. At 5, I'm going to stretch. At 5:45, I'm going out to run. And game time is this, I'm going to be in the bullpen at 6:30. Boom. So like my days are super regimented and scheduled. And hers are like, hey, I don't know where my husband's going to be working. I don't know what school my kids are going to be in. I don't know where they're going to go, what friends are going to have. I don't know about spring training house, right? So we have completely different views on how a day should be structured. And now that I'm done and I don't have somebody telling me like, hey, you need to be at the ballpark right here. Here's what time we're working out. I'm kind of lost in that space. I'm like, man, I don't know how to fill the time. So I want to like fill the time by planning our family's days where it just kind of doesn't work. So that's kind of the problem is that we've been grinding through right now. And hopefully we continue to communicate the issues, because we had to have a couple sit downs like, hey, we need to like talk through our issues, like legitimately talk, because if we keep going, this isn't gonna, it's not healthy for everybody involved.
It's a whole different skill set, being a husband and father than it is a Major League Baseball player. So now you gotta relearn that. We should invent like spring training for husbands, right? Because right, for the season, you get ready, you get your reps in, you're prepped, you're ready to go, and then as a husband, you're just kind of thrown into this relationship. You don't have any preseason, and you're like, all right, let's go, And I can appreciate some of the things you're saying. Where my wife and I, we've been married 21 years, Nick, but the first couple years were so difficult because it was meshing in these two different lifestyles, these two different philosophies, not spiritually, but just rhythm-wise, and it was so difficult. Even though I loved her, she loved me, we loved the Lord, to be successful marriage was way more than that. It was way more than saying I love you, way more than doing a Bible study, way more than saying we love God. It was about like practically like figuring things out, being willing to have those hard conversations and humbling myself as a husband, saying I'm sorry, and going through stuff that I never had to go through before to be successful on the football field or in the business world or as a coach. So let's start it, man. Spring training for husbands, man. We know we need it.
Yeah, hey, I'll sign up to join for sure. I'm not leading it. You run it, man. But yeah, I think when we go through those conversations, the difficult ones, like I think we come at it knowing that we're in this for the long haul. So the little bumps in the road along the way don't become big barriers, because we know at the end of the day, like whatever we're going to face it together, and we're going to face it until one of us passes away. And like we have those little hurdles we got to go over. And I feel like if we don't, I'm not the best communicator, obviously, but if we don't have those conversations, it's going to grow. But at the same time, we know like no matter what happens, we're in it for the long haul, and we can attack it from that address. We're living at that address, and we're going to be okay.
You got that no trade clause in your marriage contract, homeboy. That's right.
Yeah, man, like I signed up, like I'm in. Like I signed up for the good, the bad. Like, I mean, we just found out a couple months ago, like our oldest daughter has type 1 diabetes. She's 7. It's like, okay, like I would take 1 million insulin shots before I had to give her one.
Yeah.
Like she asked me, she's like, would you rather have this than me? Like, yeah, for sure. I'd have it for 100 years before you had it for 2 days, but like we're working through it. We kind of come at it like we know that God doesn't make mistakes. And we're created in His image, and we're gonna go fight for her and do it together. And that's been another a stressor on the marriage and family. But like you said, we're in this like for the long haul. This wasn't the hey, if it goes well, we'll see. It's not a tryout. Like I'm not trying her out. I'm not trying my family out to see if it works. Wow.
Nick, thanks for sharing this too, because I think so often people's perception is professional athlete, worth millions of dollars, had their dream, and then you ride off into the sunset and life is perfect. But the money doesn't handle your problems. Money takes care of money problems, but then there's a million other problems that money can't touch. And so thank you for sharing this, because I think a lot of times we just think, wow, if I could just get $1 million, right? If I could just pay off my house, if I could just advance in my career, and those are good things, but those things don't take care of, your daughter coming up with diabetes, understanding new rhythms of figuring out a relationship. And thanks for sharing that insight, man. And speaking of new rhythms, I know you've transitioned professionally to a role with Major League Baseball. Tell us a little bit about that, man.
Yeah, so I'm the Senior Director of On-Field Operations for Major League Baseball. So
hold up. That is a really fancy title, dude.
I put it under my
impressive.
email, make sure. So actually, former Padre, Chris Young, hired me in February last year. Another awesome dude. He good friend of mine, and he actually just took the GM job for the Texas Rangers.
Wait, was he a Harvard guy?
Princeton.
You only hang out with smart cats, huh? Princeton?
I don't know.
I think you choose guys like only Princeton people, dude. Come on.
Only hang out with Princeton people or Aztecs. That's
there you go. I love that.
Hey, that's the only reason I hang out with you, because I knew your son was going to go to Stanford.
Dude, you needed to balance off all your Princeton friends by hanging out with some dummies like some Aztecs. So I see the yin and the yang.
Yeah, but I only hang out with you, so that Stanford will osmosis onto me.
Hey man, I'm telling my son, don't forget me, son. I'll be working for Diego one day. So Diego, if you're watching, don't forget, son, I love you. Don't forget all the great Christmas presents I purchased you, and all the expensive, son, club soccer things that I expect full reimbursement for when you graduate from Stanford. But tell me about your new role, man.
Seriously, I'm there too. In 10 years, call me. I'll be grinding here. Just give me a shot. I'll remember when I was at your graduation party. Praying for you. Just remember those days.
He won't forget us little people, man. So tell me about your new job.
So we're focused right now on a lot of different areas. Trying to grow the game, both domestically and internationally. We got a really good group of guys, some former players. My kind of role in this is to, we're doing some work on the amateur side, trying to get some more kids to college, trying to do a better job on the youth side. It's expensive to play baseball, man. It's too expensive. It's turning into a country club sport. And we need access for everybody to play the game. We can't be spending, we can't be charging people $10,000 a summer just to play on a travel team. Things like that. So that's one goal, is to grow the game that way. Another one is some on-field stuff, trying to get some more action in the game. The game right now is the longest it's ever been, with the least amount of balls in play that's ever been in the history of the game. Wow. So in a society that's trending downward in attention span, we're asking them to pay attention longer and to less. And that's not healthy for the game. So those are kind of like the big picture things. Looking what we want the game to look like in 2030. I mean, we got probably the best athletes that have ever been playing this game of baseball now, with the way guys are training, the strength, the power, the athleticism they're displaying on the field, the specialized training they're getting. The talent is off the charts. The athleticism is off the charts, but they are on display the least, because there's a lot of walks, a lot of strikeouts, a lot of homers. So our goal is to get more balls in play, watch these guys make unbelievable diving plays all over the field, get action back in the game, and capture some more fans.
Well, man, that's a big role. So basically, you're going to fix baseball, and then
no, not me. I'm just I'm part of the team that's trying to, and not to say that it's a good product. I mean, it really is. And I'm thankful. I mean, I played in 2019, so I'm not saying that I have all the answers or that it needs to be fixed, but I know we need more action. We need more kids playing. We need more kids from every walk of life playing. It can't be just a certain set of people that can afford to play on these travel ball teams, or can afford to pay $30,000 for college because they can't get a full scholarship.
Nick, I got an idea, and it's just a guy from the 30th row of the highest lofty section of the seats. And if you do this, I think you can fix baseball 100%. Get rid of that stinking shift. Is that even on the books? Is that on the agenda to discuss, man?
That is on the radar for sure. So there's a lot of people that don't like it, and there's a lot of people that do like it, and trying to wade through that. There's some people that say, I don't think we should be told where we can and can't play. Yeah, so that's being discussed. There's a lot of channels it's got to go through. But I know a lot of fans hate the shift. I know the viewing parties don't like it. It's just trying to figure out what kind of impact it would have on the game if there wasn't a shift, and how making sure all the unintended consequences are kind of thought through. But yeah, no, that's a great question, and that's one of the things that deters fans from watching for sure, is the shift.
Well, speaking of the shift, I know that you also took a big shift where you are really tied into funding and helping out some ministries in the Philippines. I know you have a heart against human trafficking. Talk to us a little bit about that, about your involvement in there and what impact you're trying to have.
Yeah, we've been so blessed. We have two daughters, and just kind of thinking through some areas, a couple things. Like, it makes me really mad when people can't defend themselves, right? When they're forced to do things against their will, is probably one of my least favorite things to watch happen. And so when we had our girls, like, man, what would probably be the worst thing that these girls would ever have to go through in their life if they were put through a scenario? And we were at a Bible study in spring training, and we got to meet two girls from the Philippines that came over to America to share their testimony. And one was sold into prostitution by her aunts when she was 13, and the other one's story was worse. And I don't know how much worse it can get than that, but it was. And we're like, man, we have this 6-month-old daughter. This stuff is happening here and around the world, and I don't like it, and we need to do something about it. And so we've gotten really involved with some awesome organizations here in America and in the Philippines. Consider the Lily is one of them, and they have done an unbelievable job. They rescue girls out of some terrible situations. The government has started to come to us continually with some of the worst scenarios that you could think of that these girls have been through, and say, hey, can you bring them into your home, and we disciple them. We'll have social workers, have lawyers there, because these girls are ready to prosecute, which has been awesome to see the courage that they have. So they've been able to walk into these courtrooms and hear this, hear these girls, testify against their offenders when they're right there, and like the boldness and the redemption of these girls is incredible to see how Christ is working in their lives. And then kind of our role on the board now is to help them as they transition into the business world. Like we're teaching these girls, discipling these girls, and now we want to launch them into the marketplace and say, go into the world and spread the gospel. And, you're not telling your story very often unless you're comfortable doing it, but they know what it's like to be redeemed by Christ, and they know what it's like to live through adversity. And we want to give them the opportunity to make a living afterwards. So I think what we're doing this year, we're working on a couple different things, but the main thing is to, open up a coffee shop in Manila, a place where they can go to study, to work. I think we'll the home now. We have 43 girls living in the house that have been rescued and adopted into our family. And then we've started a second home now. We'll hopefully get to about 15 girls by the end of the year, and then grow out of that. Because unfortunately, we have to turn down some cases because there's just too much. Unfortunately, there's too many cases, and with the COVID stuff and the shutdowns, and the shutdowns here and in other big countries affect smaller countries like the Philippines way more than it does here. So that's kind of our goal, is to employ these girls, teach them not only about Jesus, but about marketing, about talking to customers, about running a profit loss statement, about using the cash register, about being on time for work. Places where they can go, then they can say, okay, I'm going to work in our coffee shop for 2 years and I'm going to save up to buy a car. Where 10 years ago I was living on Trash Mountain and I was being abused, and I would never have thought like something this would ever happen in my life. And now this is my life going forward, and it only is happening because people know Jesus and love Jesus. And now I know Jesus, and all the hardships that I've been through in my life, I know that the King has them. The King was there with me the whole time. He knows my pain. He knows my sorrow, and I'm going to be with him one day forever. And I can't wait for that time. But for now, I can go out and I can work and I can live, and I don't have to go back to where I was abused in the first place.
Wow, Nick, thanks so much. And for those of you guys who are watching this and are touched by Nick's story, I can tell you, I've been there at the Philippines at the same house where Nick has been. I've been to this place called Trash Mountain, and it's circumstances that you wouldn't want your pets to live in, frankly, let alone your children. So if you're hearing this and you want to support and you want to be a part, and you want to, maybe you can't go to the Philippines, and maybe you don't have the time to head over there, but you want to help out, you can go to considerthelily.org. considerthelily.org, find out more information and how you can support. But beyond this, if you're listening and you want to know about the peace, the love, the identity that Nick has through Christ, I just encourage you right there. You don't have to go to a fancy church or go to a priest or a pastor right now. Right there in your heart, you can just reflect upon God's love for you and ask him for forgiveness. Let him know you want to be his child. Let him know you want a new life, a new identity in him. And you know what? He is so graceful and loving to come in, remove your sins, make you new creation. So right there, as you're listening to this, you have the opportunity to invite Christ into your life, then get plugged into a church, get baptized, and start living for God. I encourage you, if you've never done that, do that. You will never regret it. Nick, thanks so much for joining us today, dude. I love you. I love doing life with you. Look forward to more adventures with you, man. And thanks for joining us.
Can't wait, buddy. Anytime, man. We'll talk soon.
Awesome, man. And maybe I'll be in the Philippines with you, doing some great things for God, brother.
Let's go. Hey, let's go. When it's all open back up, we're going together for sure.
All right, man. Hey, thanks again, you guys, for joining us. We want to give a big thank you to ChristianPodcastCentral.com. They partner with us to make sure this happens, as well as our YouTube channel. Go ahead and like it, subscribe for all the content. We'll see you next time at the yard where faith and sports collide.